Okay, picture this. You're buying, selling, or maybe refinancing a house in California. You've jumped through a million hoops, right? But there is one absolutely crucial yet incredibly overlooked step that happens just before that paperwork gets finalized. So today, in this explainer, we're going to walk through exactly how to verify your real estate appraiser's credentials. Let's get into it.
Think about this for a quick second. Who actually decides what your home is worth? I mean, a house is likely your absolute biggest financial asset. That makes the person evaluating its worth incredibly important to your financial security. But do you actually know who's stepping through your front door to determine that massive number? To put things into perspective, according to a recent state newsletter, there are currently 10,562 active, licensed real estate appraisers in California. That is a lot of people. With over 10,000 individuals out there in the field, you really need to know exactly who you're trusting with your property transaction. Are they actually qualified, or do they have some hidden history of cutting corners? Here's our roadmap for today's explainer. First, the high stakes of appraisal. Second, California's licensing tiers. Third, a step-by-step search guide. Fourth, interpreting the results. And finally, red flags and enforcement. Starting off with Section 1, the high stakes of appraisal and protecting your real estate investment. You see, a real estate appraisal isn't just some friendly suggestion. It's literally the foundational mechanism that underwrites the whole financial transaction. Back in 1989, following the massive savings and loan disaster, the federal government actually passed a mandate to force state-level oversight. Why? To prevent faulty property valuations from causing systemic financial instability all over again. In response, California enacted its own licensing laws in 1990, which ultimately led to the creation of the modern Bureau of Real Estate Appraisers back in 2013. The most crucial takeaway here is knowing exactly who is in charge. In California, that federal mandate is managed by BREA, the Bureau of Real Estate Appraisers. They're entirely funded by licensing fees, and they strictly regulate who is legally permitted to value property in federally related transactions. Basically, using an unlicensed or suspended appraiser can completely jeopardize your mortgage lending and derail your entire real estate transaction. Moving on to Section 2, California's licensing tiers. Let's understand these appraiser credentials. So it's absolutely vital to understand that just because someone has a license doesn't mean they can appraise just anything. For instance, look at the LR or residential license. It requires 150 hours of education, but it specifically limits the appraiser to non-complex properties up to $1 million. But what if your home is complex or it's valued well over $1 million? Well, then you need at least an AR, a certified residential appraiser. They can evaluate any 1 to 4 family home regardless of value. And an AG, certified general, they have no limits at all. The big takeaway? Always make sure your appraiser's tier actually matches your property. Let's hit Section 3, our step-by-step search guide on how to look up an appraiser online. Okay, this is the actionable part where you take full control. By following these 4 straightforward steps on the state portal, you completely bypass those third-party delays and access records that are updated daily. Step 1, visit the official BREA website at brea.ca.gov. Step 2, under Online Services, go ahead and click on Search for an Appraiser. Step 3, enter their name or their specific license number. Now here's a quick pro tip to avoid a super common mistake. If you're struggling to find them by their full name, just try searching their last name to account for any weird spelling variations, or honestly just rely solely on their unique license number. And finally, Step 4, utilize the date range filters if you need to check their historical validity. Honestly, always try to get their official license number from your lender first. It makes this whole search completely foolproof. All right, Section 4, interpreting results. What is this search data actually telling you? Generally, you're looking for one of 2 outcomes here. A clean record means your appraiser has an active status, valid expiration dates, and they're in good standing to protect your transaction. That's what we want. On the flip side, if their status shows up as restricted, expired, suspended, surrendered, or their right to renew is revoked, man, that is an immediate, federally recognized stop sign. If you see this, you need to contact your lender or appraisal management company right away to request a qualified replacement. Imagine a real-life scenario where a homeowner didn't bother to check, the appraisal was done by someone with a suspended license, and the bank just flat-out rejected the loan at the last second. Verifying upfront prevents that exact nightmare. Which brings us to Section 5, red flags and enforcement, or basically what happens when things go wrong. To truly grasp why checking this stuff matters, we have to look at what BREA is actually catching some appraisers doing out in the field. The enforcement records highlight some surprisingly common yet incredibly costly deficiencies. Some appraisers fail to even participate in the actual opinion of value. Others get caught inappropriately copying and pasting boilerplate commentary, basically faking the neighborhood data. Some fail to report the correct property zoning. Or get this, they use unlicensed assistants to take the property photos. That is a major violation if those photos are being relied upon for valuation. Just to understand the severity of these mistakes, consider this direct quote from a recent Brea disciplinary summary. A residential appraiser was slapped with a $2,000 fine and mandatory remedial education. Why? Because they, quote, failed to prepare a credible sales comparison approach and made substantial errors of omission. Imagine for a second if they made substantial errors on your home's appraisal. That kind of mistake could easily cost you tens of thousands of dollars in lost equity. No joke. When an appraiser violates the uniform standards of professional appraisal practice, Brea really drops the hammer. The penalties are serious. We're talking hefty monetary fines, mandatory remedial education, losing their standing in the federal registry, and outright license suspension or revocation. In fact, practicing without a license entirely can even result in criminal action. This underscores exactly why your lenders and you, as the consumer, must verify these credentials. So, as we wrap things up, I want to leave you with one big question. Is your next property transaction truly protected? Knowing how to navigate the Brea database empowers you to answer that question with absolute certainty. You now have the exact tools you need to safeguard your financial future before the ink even dries on the paperwork, stopping a disastrous situation before it ever starts. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer. Just a quick reminder, the information provided here is for educational purposes only and definitely does not constitute legal or financial advice. Always consult with a licensed real estate professional or legal advisor for your specific transaction concerns. If you found this structured dive into protecting your property helpful, make sure to hit subscribe for more explainers just like this. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.